That's what's wrong to close your heart.
Where's my theme music?
Man, I don't know. Technical difficulties. I guess that Amanda wasn't feeling it, so it was like she used her black girl magic and was like, "I'm not dancing today." So like,
I was rocking.
I knew you was rocking, but like,
I love it.
Man, so I'm Toriano Sanzoni, the Wolfkeeper. We're gonna just jump right into it. The universe wasn't trying to have any of that theme music. And Amanda was trying to withhold the Harlem Shake from us. So we're gonna just jump right into it. I got Amanda White-Del Pino in the house, straight from Brooklyn. Brooklyn's in the house. All the way straight from ATL, Georgia to A. I got Sterling Trap Kings in the house. I'm Toriano Sanzoni over here in Chicago. It is a blizzard. We're just going to just get right into it. I mean, man, how you feeling? What's up, Amanda?
Oh, I feel great. I feel lovely. I feel rested. All of the things. It's Monday. It's technically a day off from work. So I am ready to my life today.
Everybody recuperating from a great Valentine's Day.
Yeah. Valentine's Day was amazing.
Here go my Valentine.
Oh, so precious.
Alana's viewer set.
Alana's
viewer set.
Viewer set.
What about you all? How are you? How was the weekend?
Amazing.
Busy.
Valentine's Day, heart, lots of love. So feeling good. So Amanda, let's get right into it, man. So you and I met because we both are burners, right?
Yes.
And Burning Man is, for those that don't know, Burning Man is basically a thing that people that have like no common sense put themselves through. It's 8 days of sleeping in the desert, a desert called Black Rock City with 80,000 other people that are out of their minds, where you're responsible for bringing your own water, your own shelter. It's basically like survival on steroids, and there's a chance that you can probably get dehydrated or die, or get hit by a vehicle that they call mutant vehicles, because it might be like a 50-foot like dragon rolling around.
I thought skydiving was exciting, but y'all put me on something else.
It's survival in a controlled environment.
For 8 days straight. So that's what we met. We're both burners, which was just a phenomenal experience. Because I mean, all jokes aside, it's a real thing, because you have to cover yourself in lights, but you really don't get until you're out there. They're like cover yourself in light because it's dark, because you're in the middle of the desert.
And you're like, what do you mean? And then you're out there when it's dark, and you're like, I can't see 5 feet in front of me because it's so dark.
And you don't want to get hit. And there's these there's this thing called mutant vehicles. So there's these huge, like tricked out, basically they're floats, but they're floats like on steroids, like for real. Like you'll see like a dinosaur, or you'll see like this huge, like Cinderella, or there'll be like a huge, penguin walking. But there's these tricked out cars. So you have to be.
The octopus was a good one.
Yeah.
That was great.
So you have to be drenched in lights, like Christmas lights, so you don't get hit by one of these vehicles or ran over by somebody on one of their bicycles, because it's 80,000 bicycles like going around. Anyway, that's where we met. We're part of the Black Burners, and then that was a whole thing by itself, being out in the middle of the desert, with all these other black folks, which was just like.
So this is a bunch of other black people doing it.
I mean,
it's everybody.
It's predominantly, like, if we're being frank here, it's predominantly white. This is seen as like what people say, like white people stuff. But there's
like skydiving. Skydiving. When I walked in, everybody was like, "Okay, why are you work here?" Because.
But the fact of the matter is, there's like a good number of people of color who are starting to be more open-minded to situations like this and coming out to Burning Man and doing all the things. And so, there's a Black Burner Project, which highlights all people of color and Black people coming out to Burning Man doing the thing. And, people were loving our camp that we were in NAAC Burners, and shout out to them. And it was just like, it was amazing. It was one of those weird moments where I'm like, oh, I'm in something like pretty important here, but we're just out here to have a good time. But inclusivity is important. So I love this.
Wow.
Yeah. And the photo that we took, and Toriana, I don't know if you remember it the day, but like, I think that we weren't really expecting a lot of people to be there. But when we showed up, there was like over 200 people.
Easy.
There at the Man, and we took this huge group photo, and it was fantastic. Just seeing all those black and brown people was amazing. It was beautiful. It really was, and I was really happy to finally get out there because my friend Courtney had been trying to get me to go for years. And when you get people talking about Burning Man, it sounds like a cult. Because you just start talking about it and like, yeah, you can do this and do this, and all these people, you have to do this. And they're like, are you describing the cult to me? Because it sounds like you're describing the cult to me. But it's one of those things, It was beautiful.
I mean, I can, without going through it, I can respect it because so much of what I do is trying to get, engage the Black community and the cat rescue community, cat care. And that's so rare to be a Black man and be around all these cats. And even now, my homeboys to this day, they still be like, dude, why don't you have dogs? Why are you doing this with the cat thing? So it's so rare, so I get it. And like skydiving too, because it was just like that. It was like, you're going to do what and why? It was metaphorical to me. I was afraid of heights, and I was at a point in my life too where I wanted to kind of jump, not be scared to progress and take the next step and like get off the pot. I think Steve Harvey said something about that before, like jump off the pot, like do it. And so that's what skydiving was for me. And it helped.
Well, it's interesting too when I'm just listening. And Aaron, I call you Aaron. Aaron Douglas is who coordinated the Black Burner project of like taking this event, which is already cult-like, and then found like even another like subgroup on it, which was like the Black Burners, people that basically want to put their mentality and bodies to the test of being literally in the desert for 8 days, which on some level prepared me for COVID. I mean, like just like survival on a whole nother, because literally you're responsible for your water, you're responsible. But today on today's podcast, in the chat, I wrote that today we're talking to Amanda White-Del Pino about Black filmmaking. I want to talk about you and your filmmaking. I want to talk more about Burning Man, some of the things that we walked away with that. And it's kind of being Black in America right now. And a lot of Blacks are migrating. I mean, this has been going on for a while because I know back in like 2010, I saw a stat that like over 200,000 Blacks had exiled from Chicago, which is interesting that, you had the great migration from the South to the North. And now you have people, that are migrating from the North back to the South. And there's so many powerful movies out there like right now that are just really highlighting the Black experience. My boy Kent Powers just came out One Night in Miami, which was just, if you haven't seen it, it's mind-blowing of, Sam Cooke, Muhammad Ali, Malcolm X, and Jim Brown all hanging out one night, which is mind-blowing, like how that even happened. But talking, and I just watched, I don't know if you guys just saw Judas and the Black Messiah. Yes, which was just on the Black Panthers, was just super duper intense in itself.
Gotta watch it.
Gotta see that.
It's like even already knowing the history of it, because I'm from Chicago too, and it's like I know all that history, but just seeing it is just, it's required viewing, I feel like, for everybody, for real.
Well, yeah, so let's start talking first about you and your filmmaking and being a Black woman doing filmmaking, because I mean that's Hollywood in itself has just been an industry, in the entertainment in general has been a white male dominated industry for many years, and then you've had people that obviously have bust through that ceiling, like Sean Combs, Dr. Dre, but for everyone that has been of color that has bust through that ceiling. There's hundreds of thousands that never will, but here you are.
Trying.
You know, with filmmaking, you know, here you are. Well, you're doing it. You're not even trying.
Yeah,
You're
I'm
doing it.
I'm living it. Like I just shot a short film last weekend. Like I'm doing it.
So
congrats.
Thank you. It's interesting because filmmaking, as much as it is a creative avenue of expression, it's also a business. And if you're just like, oh, I'm gonna go be a filmmaker and pay bills, like that's not it. Like I have a whole other separate freelance job that I do, and I fit in and make time for making films. And so I just last weekend shot a short film with my buddy Nate, who I went to college with, and amazing screenwriters, directorial debut, all these things. But what I loved and what I appreciate was something that I always said that I wanted to do with when I started film, but there's one more movement. So, Black female producer on this short film, my DP was a Black woman, Jessica, who was amazing. And then Courtney, who brought us together, Be a Burning Man, she's so colorist, so I have her working on this as well. So I'm like, all right, like I'm doing the things that I wanted to do, and I'm bringing in more Black women, which is amazing. And I just want to keep doing that. Just keep making things, whether they're shorts, whether they're features, whether they're whatever, and bring on more Black women, Black men, whoever, but just like try to make it more inclusive because it's always been such a white dominated avenue. And we're trying to like raise our voices more. We've seen so many great Black films recently, and I think that that's just the tip of the iceberg. I think there's going to be so many more Black experiences, and hopefully more positive Black experiences, and not Black trauma on screen or on our laptops or TVs or whatever.
Now what? And then Amanda, like for those that maybe aren't like, Trap and I are both from the entertainment world prior to Animals. Why? And for some people that might not be involved with entertainment, or people might not understand how Hollywood, quote unquote, works, of like why that is so important that we get the Black woman point of view from behind that lens. Because some people might just think, because I'll give you here. Let me just add this before you answer that. Billy Brooks, who I'm going to have on the show, I've got to get him on the show. He was friends with and part of the movement with Chairman Fred Hampton. So some of the things he's watching, and he's like, he can't even watch the movie. He's like pulling his hair out. He's like, that's not accurate. But he who has the gold makes the rules. You know what I mean? So if Harvey Weinstein said, hey, this is the movie I'm making, and it's my $30 million, Amanda, that I'm going to ultimately have the final say in, regardless of whatever you feel that is like creative or whatever. I'm like you said, it's a business, and that might not sell. Now it's not even ticket sales. That might not sell streams, right? I need excitement. I need guns. I need violence. I need, sex. I need all these different things.
Yeah.
What are some things? Two questions. Why is it important for us to hear about the Black American woman experience, right? And then two, what are some topics and some subjects and some movie content that you would immediately come out with that just people just flat out don't know, that would be like, oh my God, that was a real thing with Black women in America.
Okay, so answer your question. Well, okay. Business as a whole is, I hear a lot of people, in the Black community sort of very, vocal about what they want to see on TV and cinemas and everything, which is amazing, and I love that. What a lot of people who are not entertainers don't understand is that depending on where you get your money from, like if it's you funding your film, you can do whatever it is you want to do. You are the boss, you can do whatever you want. But then, if you who are getting money from, this big name person over here, that's going to be the first person who you need to please. And then whoever is under them thereafter. So you have to go through all these layers of approval and like, is this okay? Is this okay? Do you like this? Before you can even get to the point where like, is my audience gonna like this? Which is crazy to me because you're making art. Well, you're making art for yourself, but you're also making art in a movie sense for people to buy it and to consume and to enjoy it. So the movie industry is a little bit crazy when it comes to that and how certain ideas end up being on the big screen. But in terms of me as a Black woman and like things that I want to see, something that I plan on focusing on in my film career is I want to highlight what it is to be a Black mother in America, but like not all the traumatic things. Like, you have films that are out here that have like amazing maternal figures, but like it's always like something rooted in some sort of trauma. And one thing that I also want to highlight is Black pregnant women in America and the maternal health in this country, because Black women are dying at a ridiculously alarming rate. And people know about it because it's starting to become more of a conversational thing. But once you sort of tell someone who is not aware at how quickly and how high of like a rate compared to every other nationality in this country with women dying of childbirth, like you're just like, wait a minute, what? Why are Black women dying in childbirth? That doesn't make any sense. Yeah, there are lots of layers.
Do you know what that stat is, Amanda?
In my filmmaking, because like tangent off of that, like when I became a doula and have helped emotionally assist friends of mine with birth and everything. So I've seen like a good number of like my little nephews and niece, whatever, come into the world. But like when you learn about all these things and about what women go through already in childbirth, but then when you find out what Black women go through in childbirth and with pregnancy, you're just like, why isn't more people talking about this? So that's something that I'm highlighting for myself. But that's important to me for sure.
And which go ahead, Trap. You want to say?
No, I was gonna say I can dig it. I probably need to get with you because I would love to tell my experience being in cat rescue. Some of the stuff, the amazing stuff that people would think it's just the cat world, but some of the stuff that I've gone through since I started this, and it's been unbelievable. Like to tell that story, to see it from this end. I don't think people understand exactly what's happening. I know a lot of people see me with my kitties and it's fun and it's cute, but some of the stuff that I've gone through just to be a part of it and some of the stuff that I continue to go through as far as competition and just, it's crazy. It's on another level. You wouldn't even think, and this is somebody coming, I always say, I come from rap, gangster rap. That's one of the most aggressive, competitive forms of art you can be a part of, and I would run back to that compared to how gangster this gets. Like it's been crazy. I love it.
Cats. What do you mean?
Right. That's what you would think. I'm just rescuing cats. For me to do it, it changes the whole narrative. On both sides, changes the whole narrative. It's crazy.
Which I want to add to what you said, Amanda, as far as like Black movies about women pregnancies. A lot of people aren't aware of the difficulties that Black women go through with delivering, and the amount of Black women that die just due to poor health care and prenatal medications and visits and things.
And then that's like not even talking about doctors and their whole prejudices that they think that they don't have. And like what a lot of people don't realize is like it was actually in textbooks that at nationality. So it's not like it shouldn't be in any textbooks at this moment, but like I feel like a lot of those teachings have like trickled down a little, like little by little. And so like if a Black woman is like in labor and they're like, oh, I want to get an epidural and my pain is this, like how often do doctors like actually listen to that pain? Like oftentimes Black women are like, please amplify your pain more than what it is so you can actually get the drugs you need. you know, and it's also like really messed up for a lot of Black women. They're just like, all right, great, I'm pregnant, I'm supposed to be excited, but like, I don't want to die. Like, why do Black women have that thought when they're about to go into labor? I hope I don't die today giving birth to this child. You know, it's ridiculous. Also, you know, to that point, there's another reason why the opiate to be like, there's a reason why Black people weren't really in that demographic, because who's giving Black people drugs for pain?
Wow.
Wow.
Never even thought about that.
Wow, yeah.
I never even thought about that. That's like mind explosion right there.
Where I went going to the doctor and what I probably should have had, they wouldn't give me because they assumed that it was I was using it for something else, or I was going to do something else with it, so they wouldn't give me exactly what I needed. They would run an IV me with something else right there, but they didn't want to hand me something and let me go home to.
Wow.
About it at all.
Black people, please. Like, Serena Williams wouldn't even be alive right now if she didn't advocate for herself. Like, that's crazy. She had her baby and she was like, something's not right. I know something's not right because this has happened before. You have to do these things. And they're like, no,
wow.
Let's wait and see. And she's like, if you wait and see, I'm gonna die.
You just literally blew my mind. I never, ever, you just literally like, that's why I love these podcasts, because I'm learning myself. You know, I just thought about when I was in the hospital, I was like, something's up with my leg. Like, they're like, I'm like, you need to like check this leg out. And they're like, oh no, that's just because, you know, the morphine and like the morphine doses they were giving me were like all just like zombie like. So I was getting, but I was like, but there was still a pain. And this went on for like a week. No joke. And I was like, they were fine. Like, I was like, you gotta take me off this morphine. It's like there's something I gotta figure out what's up with the leg. That went on 4 weeks. I had to sign this paperwork about taking off the morphine. Like I just wanted to feel the pain. Then I was like, no, you all gotta check this leg out. This is going on 2 weeks now. They're like, all right, we're gonna do an MRI. As soon as they did the MRI, there were 3 blood clots in my left calf. And this is because I had a car accident where I broke my right femur in half, but I crushed my patella tendon. But you just made me think about something that I could have died in there from blood clots that they were never gonna check out. If I wasn't just flat out like, there's something up with this, which actually, you know what? I had never even thought about it, which that would be an amazing movie right there, because we as Black folks have to advocate just for, hey, I need help with this in general.
Great. Can you just check me out? They're like, no, you're fine.
Which also too,
like, you're not me. Are you
right?
You're not in my body.
Right. Which also too goes back to the poor healthcare system in certain areas, that you don't have the hospitals there, you don't have the doctors there, and they're dealing with so much trauma. I mean, just gunshots, stabbings, this, baseball bat, that. So a person just, God forbid, they had mental health clinics, because most of the prison situation is actually mental health, let alone just, hey, there's something up with this here, stomach or whatever, leg, that is preventive medicine that could save taxpayers more. That okay, we can talk about that forever, but that would be a movie. So those would be some topics that should
absolutely.
Be. You totally blew my mind. I hadn't even put that. I think we've all experienced, but maybe you've never thought about that as far as like.
We're just like, oh, maybe I am crazy. It's like, stop gaslighting me. Like, no,
right.
I'm not crazy.
Because you hear that all the time about Black women dying in childbirth and labor, but you never think about, like, why is that? That makes sense. One of them, that they're not going to get the drugs or the pain. There's a reason why we're not the target on the opiate situation, because we don't get the drugs. Period. So it's like,
where we get the drugs from?
Wow.
Yeah, it's us. Well, I mean, now it's a little bit different, but at the start of it, for sure.
So while we have you here, I have Kyle Dixon just chimed in and said, thanks, Kyle. Kyle Dixon said, yes, the tolerance for pain in Black bodies is very underrated. We are perceived to be less prone to pain mentally and emotionally. Man, that is...
Knowing.
Thanks for chiming in, Kyle. Teola Moore, thank you. Stephanie, my aunt. Miss Sherrod, thank you. Marie. Everyone's on today. Natty Nat, what's up, Nat? Natty by nature. What up? Straight New York's in the house. That's, you know what? It is true. Like, because we feel like we what up, big dog? Wow. But that's okay. So, and Kyle's also a filmmaker. Kyle, where are you at now? I think Kyle might be in New York too. We that's one reason we definitely need more Black folks doing content. Period, to give different perspectives of like things you just wouldn't know. Like how many Black male dog trainers? Yeah, Black dog trainers, Black cat trainers, Black filmmakers. We have these different lenses.
Since we talking about that too, let me shout out because since I started doing TNR Cat Rescue, I had a lot of people, some production companies reach out to me about actually doing a show based around what I do. And I didn't, there's a lot of people I didn't sign with, but who I did sign with, Lauren Grace Media. Shout out to Dorothy Turan, Lauren Grace Media, production company that's ran by 2 Black women, which I'm very proud of. That was a big deal for me. So shout out to Lauren Grace Media. They probably somewhere pitching Trap King show right now. So I appreciate that. I had to shout them out since we got all these filmmakers going around.
No, and there's a lot of phenomenal filmmakers. Let me add. So let's jump. So we talked about what you do, Amanda. You're a phenomenal filmmaker. You do independent work. So anybody out there that wants some phenomenal independent work done, DM Amanda White-Del Pino in the house. Let's talk about some things, some movies I just recently saw. One that was actually kind of hard for me to digest. My fiance and I, it took us like 3 days. Like we were like watching it in segments. The one with
Zendaya and John David Washington.
Yeah,
Malcolm
and Marie, man, that was like, which I love because it was like it addressed like Black female trauma, through relationship. And kind of like how she busts him out, like, "Hey, you're this suburban Black guy." I love because it broke down Black classism. Which we don't talk about that. There was a lot. There was a lot of just different things going on in that movie. But Black relationships, Black drug use, Black classism, educational differences between the educated Black versus ageism. Like a lot of just different things that, here they are in this beautiful house with all these issues. Here he's this great filmmaker, but yet he's kind of like Black and bougie, and she's kind of like from the, from her world. But how'd you like that movie? What was your take on that?
Well, first of all, I thought it was a great film. I thought it was beautiful. I thought the acting was amazing. And I was like, okay, John David Washington, I see you coming up in the world. Zendaya was great. I watched her in Euphoria. I don't smoke cigarettes, but I desperately needed one after watching that movie. Because, their relationship was so toxic. I had so much anxiety built up in my chest after watching it. Because if it was me, I'd be like, I'm going to sleep. We can talk tomorrow. I'm not doing this right now. No, I'm not doing it. But that's not what happened. There was a lot because it's one of those things. I hope that no one is just like, oh, this is how relationships go. No, that's not how relationships go. This is a really toxic relationship, and the things that they said to each other in this film, number one, if it were me, I would be like, oh, I'm leaving. Because you just said some stuff that I can't unhear, and now you have to wake up and have a pillow smashed in your face, and that's not okay. I don't want to go to jail. But I just, it was really toxic, really toxic. But it was phenomenal. The film did what it was supposed to do.
In
any film, no matter what the subject is, almost no matter what the subject is. If I'm entertained and I feel something, then the film did its job.
Do you feel that it's kind of like what this question goes to both of you all? Trap back when you was doing gangster rap music with Tech Nine. Amanda, when you see movies like Malcolm and Marie and Malcolm, does every Black song in every Black movie always have to just be like, ugh. Like, I mean, like, I'm like, when I couldn't even, like, we were, like, watched, like, 15, 20 minutes of it. And honestly, I was like, man, I can't even process this. That's, like, so not my world.
So is the question, like, does it have to be, like, just explosive immediately?
It's always just, like, ugh. Like,
we are passionate people. we have lots of strong emotions.
So why? But
I'll say this too, because I told you about Toriano. We talked before. I told you about the guy that kicked the cat and put it on Instagram in slow motion.
That was terrible.
And it was a bunch of other black dudes around him, rooting them on like either it was a bet, a dare, or some type of gang initiation. But when I went to court to talk to the defense attorney and to his attorney, to the judge and everybody, what I was trying to explain to people is that we desensitized to a lot of this stuff. So a lot of what you see that comes out in our art is because, like I explained to the judge and them, that this man is desensitized. If you go out, you see a dead raccoon, dead possum, dead cat laying on the street, it becomes normal. Just like if you see or hear somebody getting shot. Like I live in the jungles in South Central Los Angeles, the Baldwin Hills, Crenshaw area. And soon as our first day moving in there, a guy got shot right in front of the house. Give up the little dude. He like, hey, I've been shot. Somebody call somebody. I've been shot. And it was so, as crazy as it was, it became the norm. So a lot of times when you see our art or you hear it and it's just bam, hit you in the face, because that's how life is hit us in the face. That's the poverty, that's the lack of education, lack of awareness, and so many lack of resources. So a lot of what we express, it comes out like that. Like to the average person, it's probably like, man, y'all are hard. Like this is a lot. But it's like, actually, this is what I see every day. This is normal to me. Like NWA was crazy to a lot of people, but for me, it was like, dang, somebody finally talking about it. Somebody finally made something about it. That happened like every other day. Somebody made something about it. Wow, that's crazy.
So let me ask you. Let me put this question out there. Kyle Dixon is just chiming in. Amanda, do you know Kyle Dixon?
Kyle and I go way back.
Kyle's my boy. I've been knowing Kyle for like 10, 12 years.
Yeah, so I met Kyle, and then Corey also, my filmmaking partner in crime. I met them, like, let's see, if I've been in New York for 13, 14 years, so like, yeah, like right around 14-ish years.
Oh wow, that's wild. No, Cal's my boy. I've been knowing Cal. I met them back in the Adidas store back in like.
Sounds about right.
That was like 05, 04, something like that. Cal's the phenomenal. But Kyle just said facts. He synthesized, normalized chaos. Let's play off that right there. So this normalized chaos with black filmmaking, with black music making. This question is both of you all, like, do we have to like plow through all of the just before we get to like some like I can watch a movie and not want to go throw a brick at something? You mean like
I think we get into that though. I think that, a lot of, black films, obviously not all of them, but I feel like we're getting to the point where we're getting past all like the trauma and all the slave movies, all the gangster movies, all the drug movies. Like we're getting past all that. I think we're starting to normalize. Now we're like doing all the bad relationship movies.
Develop another issue.
Right. We're starting to get there. I think we're starting to get to the point where like we can be mundane black people. Like yes, everything we do is great, but like also everything that we do doesn't have to be A+ superior grade. Because I have a total side tangent when Lovecraft Country came out.
I love it.
Phenomenal.
Ridiculous.
Like,
Ridiculous.
I loved it so much.
Shout out to Lovecraft Country.
Going to like some of these sort of Facebook groups, and they're just some people just like, this is slow, this is boring, I don't get this, this is so confusing, I don't understand. I just want to be like, just say you don't like sci-fi and move on. There's nothing confusing about it. It's just like, if you like sci-fi more, then you would like this show. If you were just watching it because they're black people not really into the genre, then you're not gonna like it. You're gonna say it doesn't make any sense, or it's this, it's that. Like, be open-minded, but also, even if it was just a mediocre show, which it wasn't, It's okay.
Right.
It's okay. Black people can make mediocre things too. Everything that we put out does not have to be A plus, spectacular, better than everything in the world. You know?
Okay, we put that pressure a lot on ourselves too. So yeah, because I feel like again, in what I do, I felt the need to be overly exceptional just to break even, just to be accepted. Because I don't, when I go in a place, if I go in an animal rescue place, I feel like I have to be top notch because instantly they see me and think Michael Vick, and I'm like, hey, like don't do that. That's not all of us. Like that's not all of us. And he probably was horribly miseducated to do what he did. So not all of us.
And there's that. There's the perception that you're already faced just by walking into a room, and then there's the whole other argument of like you have to be twice as good. You did just as like that whole argument. So it's like double layers of things, but it's like it's okay to feel emotion, and it's okay to like not be number one all the time.
I like what Nas said in one of his songs was just deep to me when he said, Black people, we the teenagers of this world. And when he said that, it was like, wow, because a lot of stuff, like what we was just saying as far as our movies, at first everything angry, drugs, gangster, and now we moving up because us as a people, we getting to experience different things. So now we talking focus on relationships. We moved up to even talking politics and stuff. Now, a lot of stuff we didn't even think we could get into or even do. So when he said that, like, we the teenagers of this world, in that sense, it was like, man, we got so much further to go. And it's a lot more to learn. But the way we view ourselves and the way we get viewed a lot of times, it's tough. It's tough. It's hard to even see that progression or believe. But I do feel like we're getting there now.
Well, and that's why I'm excited for, filmmakers such as yourself, Amanda, Kyle. I mean, a lot of just different stuff that, we're doing with content creation, stuff that Trap and I are working on, because part of it too, I mean, we just got to get the content and the media out there. I mean, like, I know all three of us personally, like, we have things that there's aspects of our Black experience living in this world that will blow people away that have nothing to do with violence, drama, or anything. I mean, it could just be as simple as like me being bougie about which sushi restaurant. I mean, so let's just talk about, sushi restaurants. Or just like Trap blowing my mind. We're talking about cats, like in cat trees. So here's two Black dudes having a conversation about why cat trees are necessary. Like, I didn't even know that was a thing that a cat had to have a cat tree. I mean, that it changes so perception and depth. All this like. And no one's thinking that.
In front of two of them right now.
Right, and no one's thinking that two Black guys are going to be sitting around talking about cat trees. So that's definitely some reason why we need. You got to keep doing what you're doing. Bringing that, super duper amazing content. I want to ask you about another movie that I just watched last night, which was just super duper phenomenal, and I'm a little biased by it because one of my mentors, Billy Brooks, is super duper amazing. He was part of the Black Panther movement, but I watched Judas and the Black Messiah last night. The story of like Fred Hampton, in Chicago, which was just a super duper intense, phenomenal acting all around, phenomenal cinematography. But one comment that Mr. Brooks had, that it just portrayed the Black Panthers is just like this, like extremely violent group, that they were on, and which, once again, history is his story. Whoever has the money, want to write the book, make the movie, do the music, they're gonna make it how they want it. So if you don't like it, you better write your own story. That's one of my. As we're quoting rappers, one thing Eminem said, I'm gonna keep telling my story however I want to say it, because they're going to get it wrong anyway when I'm dead. So, like, say your stories. But what was your experience, Amanda, with seeing that movie?
So a lot of the history behind it, again, because it's based in Chicago, all these things, like growing up in Chicago, it's just something that I've always been sort of knowledgeable about. And then, even in college, like learning more about it. I thought that it was a really well done film. I thought historically, yeah, there were some things that were, a little like off or like not 100% there. But again, like unless it's a documentary, it's a movie, and that's not everything is going to be 100% accurate. Like, show me a movie that's based off of like real life event that's 100% accurate. Not a thing. But I thought that they did a really good job with at least like the big thing for me, if I'm thinking about this thoroughly, was that they actually showed the Panthers and like the positive things that they did for the community. Because a lot of times when people think about the Black Panthers, and especially a lot of non-melanated people now still think that the Black Panthers were terrorists, and it's like, no, your kid had free lunch in school, thank the Black Panthers. Like, there are lots of things that they did for the community that wasn't just all violence, and then all the violence just came from the need to defend themselves. So I thought they did a really good job with highlighting all the good that they were trying to do in the community. I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah, no, same here, especially with I literally grew up BBF, who they referenced, the Better Boys Foundation. I mean, we went there as a child, like when the Black Panthers were based in the Vice Lords. I mean, I grew up in that neighborhood. A lot of people don't know that the Vice Lords were originally a nonprofit organization. They were funded by the government, and a lot of the Black Panthers and gangs as we know it were actually a result of Reaganomics, and the Mariah Contra scandal when the CIA was flooding Los Angeles with cocaine, but that's a whole nother subject. But we don't. I thought it was phenomenal that a lot of people don't realize that. I mean, one, Fred Hampton was only 21 years old.
That too.
I mean,
he
20.
Did so much.
Like he literally.
21.
I mean, he had J. Edgar Hoover on his butt saying that he was a threat to American democracy.
Yes. Like,
and at 21, you're a threat to American democracy, and they want. So I mean, that part was accurate because even when you look at movies and documentaries on J. Edgar Hoover, like he just had a hard on for Black Panthers, and particularly Fred Hampton, which had to do with Major Richard Daley at the time, because Chicago at that time was just so fragmented because King had just got assassinated, Kennedy had just got assassinated, Malcolm had just got assassinated, and then literally like every other year it was King, Kennedy, Malcolm, and then the Black Panthers systematically were just wiped out countrywide, like all at one time. Yeah. So I think that part is super important. But let me ask you this. This question goes to both of you all because it's an entertainment question. How do we, because if you think about like Black filmmakers, Black writers, literary writers writing books, journalists, musicians, that we don't get enough of that Black experience, like different point of views on maybe the same story, but coming from a whole nother place to give us. You just blew my mind. Never thought about, you hear about Black women in the trouble with childbirth, but you never think about it because they're not getting the pain meds. Because and like what Kyle just said, people saying like, well, you're Black, you have a high pain tolerance, you don't need it, or you're gonna use it, you're just acting like you need it because you're gonna use it for something else. So we're not going to give it to you at all, versus the other person. Hey, here's all the Oxycontin you can handle. You know what I mean? Like, what do we need to do to get more Black filmmakers, more Black artists of all sorts, of all visual, music, writers, journalists, magazines, books, newspapers, to want to craft the content, and then two, to expose the content right out there on all these different mediums. I would say for a lot of different reasons. It's kind of like you were saying one time, Trap, when a person was telling you like, that's not gangster music. I mean, like, you're not going to make it because you're not out with your AK-47, You mean smoking the op?
Yo, that's the story of my hip hop career most of the time. Cause it was like, yo, dude, you are way more Jimi Hendrix and Prince than you are Tupac, and we not feeling that. Like that's not gangster. You want to paint your nails, you want to wear trench coats and female hats and all of that stuff. It was like so hard to get that across, like the stereotypes that we put on each other, and then that the music industry does, well, entertainment as a whole, because they tell us what they want to see, and then we go with that. But I think a lot of it, to even answer your question, Toriano, like I think one thing we got to do is what we was talking about with the rescue community, as far as broaden our horizons. Like when we were talking the other day about taking some young children. And training them how to train dogs or how to trap cats and work with that, and then taking them to other countries. Because one of the things that helped me more than anything, because I was born in Detroit, I didn't believe any of what I'm doing was even possible until I traveled. I went in the military. I got out the country, so I started seeing things in a whole different light. But a lot of times, if we stay in that box where we at, I still know people. I still got homeboys that I call. They haven't left Detroit yet. They never left the city. And they tell me I sold out because I'm traveling around doing all this. And I'm like, bro, I didn't sell out at all. I grew. Like, I didn't know all this other stuff existed. I need you to come with me and see all of this other stuff. And I think that's something that'll help us as Black people artistically, in every format, because we have to broaden our horizons. A lot of times it's hard. They say crabs in the barrel because, like I said, you got some people that's still stuck in that box. So all they can see is you tripping, dude. You out here doing this. They gonna pull you back down. I have it happen to me right now as we speak. And I think broadening our horizons and getting out more is something that I think it'll help. It'll help with the way we see things, the way we express things, and I think that's one thing that help more than anything, because we're coming out of that box. We do so much to come and pull and fight out of that. By the time we get out, we done. It's like, oh man, that's just making it. Right. Just peeking my head over was enough. That fight was enough. I'll just sit right here. That's enough. I can't do no more. I'm peeking my head out. What else do you want from me? But excelling past that point isn't even realistic. You gotta broaden our horizons to be able to dream. Like that's a dream. Who in the world a Black man living out of his vehicle and cats? Like that wasn't possible before when I was young. I didn't think that.
And let me throw this out there because I just Sandra Schiller just said, "What will it take for our women artists to display more of their talent over their naked bodies?" Which goes back to what Trap was saying, is that, a lot of times, there's tons of Black filmmakers, tons of content creation, but then, man, what Cardi B is doing works. So why try to recreate the wheel if twerking and talking about WAP works, then it's like, let's twerk and WAP. Then you got over here, if over here what this person is saying with the AK-47, it's so pigeonholed. So then you have Trap, who's rocking a female hat with his black fingernails and his piercings, and he's out there hanging out with kittens. Tech Nine twerk with Cardi B, or hang out with Trap. Listen to Trap talk about him hanging out with a kitten. He's a black man with black nails. It's like, how are we going to get more artists just to break out of that, Amanda? Just that experience, just in general, of what Kyle just said, he didn't sell out, he grew out. But then how do we get more people to want to, I like that saying what you just said, Kyle, how do you get more people to want to be that alternative, like what Prince was leading the way, what Jimi Hendrix was leading the way, like Tracy Chapman was leading the way, with these quote unquote alternative Black folks without being pulled down.
Celebrate Cardi B, because that's amazing. Please, let's not forget Lauryn Hill. Let's not forget Lauryn.
Yeah, I'm celebrating all women because we are a multifaceted, just everything, we have, I could be on my Cardi B, Megan Thee Stallion, all the things, but then I could be on my Lauryn, and I could be chill, I could be on my Jasmine Sullivan, we have to just be okay with all forms of how women display themselves, because if Cardi wants to put herself out there like that, yes, power to you, Cardi. Do you, boo? I love you. Yes. Like, I'm not gonna say that she's this, she's that, she's whatever, because who am I to judge? Like, that doesn't make any sense to me. And I think the more we judge other women for doing whatever it is they want to do with their bodies, the more other women like, well, this all, or it's just like, oh my God, I love this, and like, what? There's something for everybody, and I just being comfortable in our own skin is the most important thing. Like, so, and also tying into what you were asking before about like what we can do to just sort of like expand, it's just, we need resources and we need to be comfortable in our own skin. We are always taught that our emotions and all these things are like supposed to be X, Y, and Z in order to like keep moving forward and survive. But like, people are so afraid of expressing themselves and being comfortable with being in their own skin, no matter what people are saying, that it's just like, nah. Like, what I love about Cardi too is because she will say, yeah, I did this, I did this, I did this, I don't care, I'm okay with this. This is how I woke up today. And I appreciate her because she will be like, this is how I woke up today. I woke up 20 minutes ago and I got crust in my eyes and whatever. Like,
I love Cardi. Hey, Cardi was hanging out with Joe Biden, so I'm like, I'm not knocking.
Like, Cardi's a lot of things, but at least she tries. And at least she like actually, wants to uplift people in her own way. And I'm completely down with that 1,000%. Like, can't nobody say anything to me about Cardi B. And
I love what you said about that, because I got 5 sisters, and that's like expression and allowing a woman or any person to be comfortable in their skin, especially our Black women, to be comfortable with what they are, because everything is so trendy, and you see, right?
I'm not slicked down. I don't have the, I'm happy with this. Like, this is great. I'm here for that.
And I love that. I love that. Like, personally, like, for real. But that's the thing. Like, we so trendy. We see one person do it, and then all of a sudden, that's the representation. Everybody got to do it like this. Judge this, judge that. Right? Like, and I would do that with music all the time. Like, I know what's out here, what's that. But if I grew up watching Prince and Jimi Hendrix and Freddie Mercury and stuff, then let me be who I am versus you telling me this is the standard.
Like, I love that. Listen, I'm also somebody who grew up listening to Backstreet Boys, like, religiously. Like, that, and you want to talk about all the hate that I got off of that? Like, what? Even though, like, I can't really get down right now because one of them's a Johnson, but it's fine. Terrible. Anyway, so just be you. There's literally something for everybody, and there are these little niches out there where people have all the following in the world. Like, you don't have to be famous to be successful. Like, as an entertainer,
Right?
Like, and my friend Rico, who was a bassist in Band Versatile Chicago, he is the first person that told me, he's like, listen, I can be a musician without being famous and without doing all these things and live a life that's comfortable and be happy.
Yo, Jim Carrey said it, and I swear I'm about to put it on the shirt. Jim Carrey said it best. I wish everybody could hurry up and get rich and famous so they can see it's not even what they want, or they can find out what they really want. Because like you just said, you don't have to, everything we're doing doesn't have to be rich, famous, and huge for us to be successful or happy. And that's something that I think the misconception, and then a whole nother conversation is the social media of it. That instant gratification of things. It's like, again, some of the stuff that I go through is simply because of social media likes. Like, all of a sudden, you got a whole bunch of likes on social media. I've watched people say, talk to me in one way, and then they go on Instagram and be like, oh, well, wait. Now the whole response and everything is totally different how you talking to me because of social media likes. Like, I had a pager. I come from a different time. Like the social media aspect of it is wild for me. So that too, like, the instant gratification is crazy.
Yeah, everything is like, I need this now. I need to be entertained with it 3.5 seconds instantly. And it's like, that also has affected a lot of media too, because like, you know, you had, what was that company, Quibi? The like little 8-minute little chunks of things that they went bankrupt and then somebody else bought them. It's just
I heard about that.
yeah, like what can you do in 8 minutes? Like, I mean, you can tell a story in 8 minutes. Like, it's absolutely possible. You can tell a story in 1 minute, but you know, I feel like so many people, their attention to detail is like this quick now, and it's just like if you're trying to the ship or whatever, the speed because you know you're setting up plot points.
Yeah.
People are just like, this is horrible. Like, I don't know if you guys watch, you know, any of the Marvel stuff, but WandaVision. People are complaining that show was super boring and super slow in the beginning, but it's like we're setting up the story.
Okay, let's character build for a second. Let me just build the characters. Like, it's like it's been on for 2 minutes. Ain't nobody died yet. I can't watch this.
That's 35 seconds. What?
Well, I think part of that has to do with now is that with I mean, where I read a stat, and this was a while ago, that the average person spends 4.5 hours per day just on Facebook. You know, just scrolling. So you take between Facebook, Instagram, those two for sure, just regular text messaging for sure, regular emails for sure, sprinkle a few phone calls in there. And that doesn't even include if you are TikToking, Snapchatting, or YouTubing. But we know we got the big five. So like with that much content that's coming out, I think I would like to like leave with the viewers out there, one, or anyone that's listening. Thank you for everyone that's chiming in today and watching. We got a good little crew of people but one, check out Amanda White-Del Pino, because filmmaker that's like out there, you're doing it and you're working on independent projects, and if somebody wants to get with you and put some movies out there, you have the crew to do it.
Yes.
That's one.
Team, shout out to Outside Media, Corey and Wallace. Those are my homies. Those are my production crew all day.
And yeah, I mean that's one too. I mean, same thing with Trap, myself, or people that, because I mean, one bottom line is that you can't talk crap if you're not creating the content. I mean, because people sit back and like, I don't like that. Like now, with these damn cell phones, you mean anyone can make a movie. You mean like literally like now, like there's super basic editing. You mean to complex editing, but everyone can make a movie now. Period. Everyone can make a little short story or whatever. So to me, like, we use these smartphones, but we don't use them to be smart. I mean, we're not using them in smart, intelligent ways. We're not really pushing them to the max to get our points across. There's just that. Well, on some level, sometimes might go because people aren't really using them. But I think that people, I feel like it's like everyone's duty to like get their point of view across, because your point of view might be that one thing that just made someone go like, dude, like what just happened here gave me a whole new respect for Black women in labor. I didn't know. I mean, I heard that was a thing. I didn't know why that was a thing. And I need to go do some more research because, like, wow, that's because I hear it all the time, but I don't really.
When you look at the numbers and see how high it actually is, you're like, wait, like, it's like that.
Right, which that's not cool. Black women dying, giving childbirth, which that goes back to like slavery. I mean, like it was like a thing people don't talk about with slavery, with like Black women not being happy they have a little black boy. Like that was an issue because he's gonna get taken. I mean, he's gonna go to a buck breaking farm. There was like a whole. So we're just, when you talk about Black women in labor, just I'm like, well, dang, like someone should do a movie on like how that goes back to just slavery. Like when you were responsible for 4 or 5 brand new slaves for me to own. I mean, so how excited can you be pregnant when you know you're just making more inventory? You know what I mean? So it just be interesting to see. Point being is that, you know, I feel like we're all entertainers, we all have a responsibility to share it and tell our stories over, like Eminem said, I'm going to tell the story over and over and over and over again, because when I die, they're going to get it wrong anyway. You mean, so like pushing those stories out, sharing those narratives, especially not even just Black experience, but like all experience in like I don't know if you all saw White Tiger yet. Just super phenomenal. But then, you know, some of my Indian American friends were like, that's not a correct, portrayal of what's happening in India. But I was like, well, then maybe you should make like a podcast talking about like this was really happening. Because like you said, Amanda, what's really ever accurate? You know what I mean? If like whoever's in charge and whoever has the money is going to tell the story how they want the story told. Right.
Look at our history books.
Oh, amen, hallelujah to that, just by itself, But I mean, we can't be mad at people like Tyler Perry. If that's how he wants to tell the movie, that's how he's going to tell it. It's his money, or Oprah, or John Singleton, or whoever else. But now we don't really have an excuse because everyone can like, hey, I want to share my story. They got to get out in public speak because your word just might be that one little thing that just lit the whole entire world on fire because of your perspective of how you saw it. So that's one thing I just want to walk away on. Encourage people to share your story and tell more. So before we go, Amanda, when should we be expecting your movie to come out? When should we?
Okay. Well, let's see. I'm also editing this, so that's great. I don't know, sometime later this year, but I will have updates on my IG page, on my website, Amanda Nicole, Niqole. That is my IG page. You can find me on Facebook with friends. Hey guys. And then www.amandaniqole.com is all my get it as soon as that is able.
Okay. But do you
projects coming down the pipeline too?
Cool, but do you think?
Can I push for this project though? I want this to happen. So, superheroes.
Word.
Me and Toriana, you got two dudes during the day. They just regular nerdy dudes like Clark Kent that work at animal rescue facilities during the day. At night, they animal rescue vigilantes jumping out.
This sounds like a dope combo. I need this immediately.
The Trap King and Wolfkeeper.
Right.
Like Trap is in charge of all these cats. He like makes this sound. And like all these little domestic cats come out, but then like when a bigger bad guy comes out, he makes like another sound. And like these panthers come out, and then like I make a sound. And like the wolves come out, like the timber wolves come out. Then like we got the jackals over here, and like the foxes, and like these German shepherds, and it's like we're like it's like the end of the world and everything. Like I'm in charge. Like he has to get his army of like cats. I got my army of like canines, and we're going against like one against one enemy. We like save the world. Man, can you hook that up? You got it. Can you hook that up? Like we need that. That's like I see it. I mean, you're gonna need like a big budget. It's like you like one of them Game of Thrones budgets for it, but like make that. That's what I'm going to see. That would be no black trauma, 2 brand new black superheroes. That's what I'm talking about. Trap, boom. Trap King, the Wolfkeeper, boom. The Adventures of.
Right.
You gotta do the prequel first, like Trap being born and raised by like these like group of like lions, like back in like Rwanda. You know what I mean? Like, and like some like they were out on safari and like they accidentally like grabbed a lion and he like scooped him up in the cubs and then brought him to like then he was like in the zoo like out in LA. Then he like escaped from that and then he meets up with me. That was like raised.
Our only problem is gonna be character building. People don't want to turn it off, but build the characters in the first 2 minutes.
What's happening right now?
Wait, why is a black man in safari? What's going on?
Oh man.
Hey, well, I want to thank you all, man. I'm so pumped up. Thank you, Kyle, for jumping on. Kyle Dixon. Shout out to big boy Kyle out there. And Brooklyn's in the house. Brooklyn. As always, Trap King, straight from the ATL, Georgia. Appreciate you all. Hey, I just want to tell everyone, wherever you're at today, if you're in Chicago, it's mad snow, so stay warm, stay cool. But as I always tell you all, be love, give love, show love. Thank you, Amanda White. Shout out to all the black burners, to NAABC, National Association for Black Burners, everyone out there. Yeah. I'm Toriano San Antonio, Wolfkeeper. Until tomorrow, mañana, stay good. Peace out, yo. See ya. See ya.